News18 newsroom. Lots to cover over the next 60 minutes. Let's begin with our top focus. There has been a big setback as far as social media platform Twitter is concerned, considering the fact their plea today has been dismissed by the Karnataka High Court. This was a plea challenging the centre's decision to block a few accounts. The Karnataka High Court today has also fined Twitter with 50 lakhs of penalty. They've also questioned their conduct. You would remember that Twitter, in fact, had moved the Karnataka High Court way back last year in the month of July. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of back and forth, specifically the comments that came in from the former CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, when he said that Twitter was under a lot of pressure by the Indian government, specifically during the farmer protest, to block a certain accounts. Cut to the reaction that we got from Elon Musk, the current CEO of Twitter, who just spoke last week and said that any company that is doing business needs to follow the law of the land. We'll get in our guests to try and understand, is this a stern message that has been given to non-compliers? Also, what does the law of the land say as far as any intermediary that wants to have business and wants to grow in India? But first, let's listen into this reaction coming in from Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
I hope there is a learning from this experience of Twitter and this behavior of Twitter, that platforms working with the government of India, working with the citizens of India and the consumers of India, become responsible platforms, work in compliance with the Indian law. I hope there is a learning from this for Twitter and indeed for all platforms, and of course to Shri Jack Dorsey, that the government of India's expectations always, previously and today and in the future, will always be simply this: compliance with the law, and then you can innovate and grow as much as you want.
Let's also now bring in our guest, cyber expert Jiten Jain, also now joining us on the broadcast. Jiten, good evening. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Firstly, how do you see the verdict that is coming from the Karnataka High Court? Is this now a clear message that has been sent to non-compliers? Because we've seen a lot of back and forth as far as the functioning of Twitter with the Indian government is concerned. The High Court has gone on to say they've questioned the conduct of Twitter as well, and they've fined Twitter as well. Do you think a clear message is now being given out as far as intermediaries who want to have business and grow in India?
You see, these are the companies which were trying to act as a judge, jury and executioner in India. They wanted to interpret Indian laws. They wanted to, decide what they will do, what they will comply with and what they will not comply with. I think, anyways, it was a frivolous petition which was, filed with an intention to get some time and delay and, create some sort of PR narrative for Twitter. But ultimately, you have to understand that a foreign company has gone to a high constitutional court of India saying that we will not comply with the constitution of India, we will not comply with the laws passed by the Indian parliament. So I think this petition at the first stage itself should not have been admitted. But I think now, since the judgment has come, even though it is delayed, it is a welcome step. But what is very significant in this judgment is the cost and penalty which has been imposed on Twitter. I think in the entire IT Act, if you see, the only power the government has in case of non-compliance is the blocking of the platform. Where a platform decides not to comply with the government directions, government has no alternative but to ban the entire platform, which is very difficult. There is no proportionate or graded punishment mechanism currently in the IT law. But since they have gone to a court, and court also has figured out that these are the loopholes which Twitter and companies like Facebook have been trying to, exploit in India. So they have imposed a financial cost of 50 lakhs for, non-compliance. And that sends a very clear and stern message for all the companies, whether Indian or private, that you have to comply with Indian laws. You have to, if you're doing business in India, you have to do all the due diligence and all the compliances of local laws. And I think it is a welcome step. It will set the entire precedent for other platforms also who have been, tilly-toeing and sometimes refusing to comply with the government directives.
Yeah. Do you think, before I talk to you about what are the issues as far as the functioning of intermediaries in India is concerned and what does the law of the land say, I quickly want to understand, how do you see the responses that we've seen? One, from the former CEO, Jack Dorsey, who said that there was a lot of pressure from the Indian government. We were forced to raid people, shut down accounts. Cut to the reaction that we got from Elon Musk just last week. He said every intermediary knows what the law of the land is. If you want to function in the country, you will have to follow it. Why did you think the previous leadership of Twitter continue to have this run-in with the central government?
I mean, to be very, honest and a blunt word, they were nothing but a left-leaning hypocrites who had dual standards for Americans, who had dual standards for other geographies like India. I mean, these are the same bunch of guys who were acting as colonial viceroys, who decided that they can ban and deplatform a sitting US president because they thought in their own little wisdom that he was spreading false news and he was inciting violence. This is what they thought. Now he was deplatformed and banned from Twitter in devoid of any court order, any executive order, any judicial process. It was 4 or 5 bunch of cronies sitting in a corporate drawing room in US who decided that a elected president who has been entrusted nuclear launch code by American citizens was incapable of operating a Twitter account. Number two, 6 months, these same bunch of cronies decides that people who carried out mass executions in Afghanistan, who paraded suicide bombers, Taliban, can operate Twitter accounts and they can do live tweeting and run propaganda on Twitter. So look at the double standards. When there were insurrection on White House and there were riots in the US Capitol, they banned complete like kill Mike Pence or hang Mike Pence.
True.
15 days later, when the similar incidents happened in India, when government of India requested that there hashtags running calling for genocide, please remove them. Same bunch of cronies says that we do not have technology and technological wherewithal to take down an entire hashtag. These are nothing but dual standards, which has been called sec. You have to understand all the intermediary protections which have been given to platforms are given because they claim they're only intermediaries. They do not upload, edit, modify, subscribe, or run editorial oversight of any content. It is the users who are uploading responsible. But moment these platforms decide to interfere with the content, delete users, block users, censor tweets, do all sort of things, they are entering into the editorial oversight. Now, once they do that, they also have accountability of what it is being published on their platforms. And this is very simple. Platforms are publishing news, censoring people, and running a censorship Resign. They also have to be responsible for what goes on their platform. It is as simple as that.
Yeah. Jitin, I just want to understand, just playing the devil's advocate here, a lot of intermediaries not coming on record, but they voiced a lot of concerns that when governments start to tell us which accounts to block and which way to go, then the entire idea behind a free platform is negated. Do you buy that argument?
I mean, we can simply ask them a simple question. What about the fight where Twitter management was, sitting and colluding with FBI and CIA to censor one Democratic Party in US? Of one side, I mean, they were trying to cull down Republican accounts and they were trying to support Democrats. These are not us. These are not random allegations. These are official authenticated mails, which is released by the current CEO owner, which is Elon Musk of Twitter, that how Jack Dorsey, his league, his compliance, and everybody was aware. They were just sitting with FBI and CIA with security clearance and deciding what accounts to black. And the best example is Hunter Biden. They censored all the news related to his scams. These are all, hypocrites. I mean, हाथी के दांत है खाने के कुछ और दिखाने के कुछ और. They should teach what they preach and practice.
Jitin, now I quickly want to understand, considering the fact that we've seen this verdict that has come in, and you said what is even more crucial is not just the dismissal of the plea, but the penalty that has been levied on Twitter, questioning the conduct of the social media platform itself, 50 lakhs. Now, going forward, do you see this issue of intermediaries functioning in India? They will also realize that if you want to grow business in a country, there is a law of the land. You either follow or you perish.
I think we are the biggest democracies. I mean, this whole propaganda that government was trying to censor accounts during farmer rights. I mean, just look at the figure. 50% tweets against government, criticize the government, and the government is asking for just block 1,200 odd accounts which have been operated by IFI and FP, which have been impersonating Indian and one or two exceptions were misjudged. But more or less, it was those accounts which have been running propaganda sitting across the border. I mean, and then a big company decided to interpret that we will, interpret what Indian law is. We will decide whether to comply or not. I think a stern action should have been taken long back by the government itself. And they should not have waited for a court order to come in.
So you're feeling they should have not waited for a court order to come. Jitin, lastly, because you've tracked the entire rise of intermediaries and the concerns that have been voiced for them, is it only Twitter that seems to be voicing these concerns as far as the intermediaries is concerned, or are you seeing the other intermediaries also voice similar concerns?
We also see these people do not have any laws, any policies. To have a general Raj in a country where they can make maximum money without any data or conduct they do. They diligently follow the law in Europe, where the hefty financial penalty comes. But when it comes to Africa, Asia, and Middle East, they do not follow regulation. They want to act like sovereigns. They want to act above the governments. They just want to make money. I mean, they don't want to open here. They don't want to post even one person in the single. Because of the government demand, post 3 employees. Country where we've got almost 3 employees. for legal compliance. One is a grievance officer. Tomorrow somebody is hacked, somebody's account is tweeting out something. You should have one guy who do all the compliance and one office. Is it too much to ask for? They do have offices, but these are all fake virtual offices which have been rented. And when you go to court, they say, wait, we do not have a presence here in India. So I think government is very wisely and diligently. They have realized that if you make money in India, if you have almost a crore of your user base from India, then you have to have an office and you have to have an accountability here.
Okay. Jitin, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Let's quickly now shift our focus to the other big story that we're tracking this evening, which is coming in from Manipur, where the situation still remains sensitive. Today, there was a lot of back and forth. There were a lot of mumblings that the Chief Minister N Biren Singh, in fact, could step down as a chief minister, but he's just put out a tweet a short while ago reassuring people that at this crucial time, he in fact will not be stepping down. As I pointed out earlier in the day, a lot of his supporters stepped out on the streets asking the chief minister to not step down. Yesterday also, we did see a lot of political water words between the Congress when the Congress claimed that Rahul Gandhi's convoy in fact was stopped as he was in Manipur for a two-day visit. Before we bring in our colleagues, let's take a look at some reactions.
What actually happened with Biren Singh taking the decision of resignation and how the people stopped him?
Actually, what happened was Honorable CN, he wanted to submit his resignation paper. So, but somehow we were supposed to submit the resignation at approximately 3 o'clock. But before that, the people came to know, and thousands of people from all walks of life, they started gathering in front of this Honorable Chief Minister's bungalow. And they started blocking the roads. All roads to the governor's bungalow was blocked. But ultimately, since we have taken the appointment we left around 2:20 odd, that was around 2:20, along with the honorable ministers and MLAs. So as soon as we just crossed the gate, since the road was fully blocked, we thought they would at least give us the way. But it was such that the emotions of people were such that their demand was that they would not allow the Honorable Chief Minister to submit his resignation paper. Yes, we've been very hurt since yesterday. He was contemplating that about the resignation, and now.
Why did he want to resign?
You see, he's been he's been at the forefront since the day started to bring about peace for the whole state. And but yesterday, after long hiatus, the state of affairs yesterday in the Imam market, where abusive words were being used, which was not, where I don't think anyone could bear it. So I think that really made him think that people are just not satisfied with him or something. But it was just a section of meager, I would say, who were.
Let's also now bring in our colleague Kamalika Sengupta, who in fact has been tracking these developments for us. So Kamalika, there is a lot of back and forth that's happened today, but finally the Chief Minister has come out and reassured people that at this crucial juncture, he will not be stepping down. What else are you hearing from the Chief Minister's office or the plan of the state administration going forward?
No, right now, because of the public demand and also because of this crucial situation, that's what Biren Singh has tweeted. And we were talking like since yesterday morning, till yesterday morning, there was no plan of Biren Singh going and resigning, because we spoke to Biren Singh yesterday in the morning, and he said that he's trying to put situation into control. He wants a normal Manipur. And after that, what happened, that Rahul Gandhi episode took place, and there were war of words. And also there were one section which was, as the Health Minister was pointing out in our phone interview, that there were war of words and mudslinging was started, where it took place there.
Okay.
So that really hurt him, because last Sunday also he went to meet the Honorable Home Minister. Home Minister asked him to work more hard and talk to the civil society people. He was talking to the society people, and all these things were happening. But then suddenly, it went so bad that he was very hurt and he wanted to resign. And for that reason, he took the appointment of the Honorable Governor. But then the public pressure was there, and you can see the resignation letter had to turn. So right
Okay.
now he's going to resign. But at the same time, the opposition is coming up with various theories about his resignation. So the opposition is what the opposition is saying. Number one, they are saying that this is a staged thing. This was a planned thing that
Okay.
he.
Kamalik, I apologize for interrupting. We quickly do have to shift our focus to some other breaking developments now coming in. And this is the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stallin's first response to the letter that was written by the Governor C.N. Ravi. Remember, the Governor had written a 6-page letter asking why Senthil Balaji still had not been asked to step down as a minister. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister now responding to the Governor, saying that Senthil Balaji in fact will continue as a minister. Let's also now bring in our colleague Purnima, who's joining us on the broadcast. So DMK still staying firm with its position that Senthil Balaji will continue as a minister. Purnima.
Remember late last night after Governor had issued a press release saying that Senthil Balaji has been dismissed as a minister. In fact, he had then written to Chief Minister N. Stalin in that 6-page letter as well. Governor said that in fact Governor had attacked M.K. Stalin, saying that there is an unhealthy bias on behalf of the Chief Minister to retain Senthil Balaji as a minister. And in that 6-page letter, Governor also said that he believes that Senthil Balaji should be dropped as a cabinet minister. So in response to that letter that was received from the Governor, sources from the government say that now Stalin has responded to the letter to the Governor, said that Senthil Balaji will continue to remain as a minister. And that is something that Chief Minister has once again reiterated in his letter, and also said that the Governor does not have any right to decide on the Council of Ministers, and it's the Chief Minister's prerogative. Only the Chief Minister can decide whether a minister will remain in the cabinet or whether he will be dropped from the cabinet, and that's only the Chief Minister's prerogative. These are the highlights of the letter, sources told News 18.
So Purnima, the DMK now clarifying that Senthil Balaji will continue as a minister. Let's go back to what happened earlier in the day, which was the Governor backtracking his own decision of dismissal of Senthil Balaji. Then he wrote that long 6-page letter to the Chief Minister voicing his uneasiness. One of the points that he highlighted in that letter was that if Senthil Balaji continues as a minister, then your bias will be seen. People will question the fact that are you supporting and guarding Senthil Balaji? How is DMK responding to that mounting criticism that there is a bias that is being shown by the Chief Minister?
Well, several senior leaders of the DMK maintain that there is no bias as far as Senthil Balaji is concerned. And M.K. Stalin very clearly has said that he is just an accused in this case. He's not a convict in this case. And therefore, there is no question of dropping Senthil Balaji from the cabinet. Only if cases are proven, only then will the question arise. If he is still not dropped from the cabinet, at the moment he is still not convicted, and therefore he can continue as a minister. Is the defense that's coming in from the DMK and several leaders. Even as the Governor says that there is a bias. And the DMK is trying to protect Senthil Balaji, even though the Governor has tried invoking several provisions of the Constitution to dismiss Senthil Balaji. DMK reiterating its stance that it will continue to have Senthil Balaji as a minister without any portfolio.
Purnima, quickly, just for the benefit of our viewers, considering the fact the Governor did take the decision to dismiss Senthil Balaji and then he backtracked his decision, help us understand what is the rationale that is being given by the Governor as to why did he backtrack his decision?
Well, around 7:20 p.m. there was an official release from the Raj Bhavan, and later, 4 hours later, the Governor in fact put that decision on hold. The reason that was cited by the Governor in the letter to M.K. Stalin is that he's been advised by the Union Home Ministry to consult with the Attorney General and to take legal opinion before going ahead with his decision, and therefore this has been put on hold. And depending on what the Attorney General says and advises, the Governor will then take his stance.
Okay, Purnima, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for bringing us all those details. Time for us to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with lots more.
Is sought. So that is the major focus right now, as in the particular order that had come in previously is suspended. Senthil Balaji is going to continue in council till AG opinion and further orders come in. Now, sources have also told CNN News 18 that the Tamil Nadu governor has now informed Chief Minister Stalin about the decision to keep dismissal order of Minister Balaji in abeyance. Now, remember, according to a press release from Raj Bhavan, Balaji is facing some serious criminal proceedings, as we already mentioned, and this is in a number of cases of corruption, including taking cash for jobs and money laundering. So this is the particular input that we have from the story in the South, and we have CNN News 18's Arunima joining us on the broadcast to give us more details on this. Arunima, a very good morning to you. Well, quite a lot of debate has gone around the dismissal of Senthil Balaji, and well, now legal advice is being sought. How are we looking at these developments in Tamil Nadu?
Dismissal, which was eventually withdrawn, is the status at this moment. Last night, close to midnight, central government stepped in because there was a lot of criticism whether constitutionally the governor has the power to unilaterally dismiss a minister without consulting the chief minister, without consulting the council. The governor was advised by the centre that he should seek legal opinion first. And post that, we are told, Raj Bhavan decided to send the matter to Attorney General for his legal opinion. And around midnight, a few minutes before midnight, this decision was conveyed to Chief Minister N Stalin that Governor Arun Ravi was withdrawing his earlier order, was putting it in abeyance, and that Senthil Balaji could continue in the Council of Ministers pending the Attorney General's advice. So that's the status at this moment. There is no change as far as Senthil Balaji's position in the Tamil Nadu Council of Ministers is concerned. Attorney General's opinion is something Raj Bhavan will wait for before they decide on their next move.
Right. Another thing, like we were discussing this before and we mentioned this before coming to you, which is MK Stalin earlier had said that he was going to challenge the governor's decision of dismissing Senthil Balaji from the cabinet on constitutional grounds. So can you please throw some more light on that?
So that is the reason why I think the centre stepped in, because if this matter came to the Supreme Court and there was wide debate, most of the constitutional experts, lawyers pointed out that the law is very clear, the constitution is very clear. Governor acts on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister and his council. The Constitution does not really empower the governor to supersede the Chief Minister and his council and take any independent decision. Given that position, when he had decided to unilaterally dismiss Senthil Balaji and MK Stalin made it clear that he's going to challenge this in Supreme Court, I think the central government prevailed upon the governor that you should first take a legal opinion, because if you go to the Supreme Court, or if the Tamil Nadu government goes to the Supreme Court and there is any censure or any stricture passed against Raj Bhavan, that will be very embarrassing. I think that decision by the Tamil Nadu government to go to the Supreme Court also played its part in the governor ultimately deciding to withdraw the order till the time the Attorney General made the constitutional and legal position clear to him.
Right. Thank you, Arunima, for all those details. We also have Purnima joining us on the broadcast. Purnima, a very good morning to you. Well, we see what is happening in Tamil Nadu. There is a lot of debate. There's a lot of back and forth that is happening when it comes to Senthil Balaji's continuation in the cabinet. Well, if we are to look at the people of Tamil Nadu right now, what are they leaning towards? Are they happy with these decisions that are constantly taking place? Are they in support of Senthil Balaji staying in the cabinet, or do they also agree with the governor that yes, he should be dismissed?
Well, there are mixed reactions from Tamil Nadu as far as Senthil Balaji's continuation of the post is concerned. We've seen ever since the governor had decided to dismiss Senthil Balaji as a minister, we've seen a lot of reactions pouring in on social media. Some of them welcomed it, some of them, in fact, questioned the governor's decision. So mixed reactions here ever since Senthil Balaji was raided, and we've seen how, apart from politics, we've also seen a lot of reactions on social media. Some of them say that the governor should in fact, leave it to the government to take decisions. And every time there's any issue, and we've seen how both the state government and the governor continue to remain at loggerheads. We've seen posters saying "Go back, governor," also across the city. So mixed reaction so far as Sendil Balaji is concerned, and as well as the governor's issue is concerned.
Right. Purnima, also, when we talk about the governor having dismissed Senthil Balaji while overriding the chief minister's decision of keeping him back, holding him back in the cabinet, do you think the opposition here is trying to maybe, make its way in Tamil Nadu by playing politics of this sort?
Well, absolutely. This is not the first time that we've seen the governor, in fact, say that Sendil Balaji should not continue as a minister. We've seen ever since Sendil Balaji, was raided by the IT. We've seen the opposition parties meet governor and say that till the time the ED completes its investigation, Sendil Balaji should be dropped as a council of ministers. This is something that the BJP and the AIADMK had conveyed to the governor, that Sendil Balaji should not be the minister. And after he was raided as well, when the state government had transferred his portfolios to other ministers, even then we saw the governor in fact say that he personally does not accept and agree to the recommendations of the state government. However, even then, the only thing that we saw from the state government was that the governor does not have the right to do so. So this has, in fact, been an issue that has been active, where the war of words had only escalated between the ruling.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. The other big story that we're tracking this evening is India is all set to host the SCO Summit, and with Pakistan in attendance. Top government sources are telling us here at CNN News 18 that they welcome the decision of Pakistan attending the SCO Summit, because the thinking is that that platform is not for personal tensions. Let's also now bring in our colleague Abhishek, who's getting us more details. So Abhishek, top government sources indicating to us they welcome the decision of Pakistan, because the thinking is that this is not a platform for personal tensions, but for other regional issues that can be carried forward as far as the platform of SCO is concerned.
Of course, you see, this is happening at a time when there is not a very good vibe in the bilateral relationship between India and Pakistan. But having said that, India has maintained utmost respect for the multilateral organization. India, being the chair, has extended the invitation to all the members, including Shehbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan, and who is going to have a virtual attendance on 4th of July when this SCO Summit talks is going to happen. The interesting part will be the inclusion of Iran, which is going to be the full-time permanent member of SCO grouping from now onwards. And the Belarus is also going to, Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, is also going to take part in that meeting, and Belarus is most likely going to become the full member of this SCO grouping from the next year onwards. Right now, the focus will, of course, be on the fallout effect of Russia-Ukraine conflict that has impacted the global economical, architectural, and the geopolitical landscape as well. But what all will be the issues and what all will be in the joint communique, we'll have to wait for that.
Yeah. Abhishek, so as you rightly pointed out, government sources also indicating here at CNN News 18 that there is an understanding that yes, we welcome the move of Pakistan accepting the invitation, but it had been extended by India, considering the fact India is the chair, because the SCO is the platform for other global issues to be discussed and not for personal tensions. What is also interesting this time around is it's not just Pakistan, but you'll have China's Xi Jinping also in attendance. Talk to us about the overall agenda that the SCO aims to achieve in this crucial summit.
I mean, it will be a very welcome move for the world, for the countries in this region, that they could see that India, Pakistan, and China could still come under one roof and talk about the global issues and the issues of recent interest, despite being the bilateral differences at one of the worst level in the recent years. The India-China ties we have already seen going just downwards, and India-Pakistan ties is well known. secret that there is no trade, there is no people-to-people engagement that is currently happening between the two sides, except that they have maintained diplomacy or the diplomatic level, relationship between the two sides. But despite the fact that SCO is happening, the first mandate of SCO has been to increase the connectivity in the South Asian region with the Central Asian countries, and then opening the door for other countries in the Europe also for the trade, bilateral trade, and everything that can happen of these countries in that region. Also, how to bring the dollar on the sideline is also one of the agenda. That if the countries can work together to create a mechanism where the bilateral trade can happen between the two countries in their own currencies, and then it will be a fillip to the regional economic architecture. Security issues are one of the key concerns because of the Afghanistan. The Afghanistan now being led and ruled by Taliban groupings. Clearly, it's one of the reasons of concern because of the terrorism emanating from that region, and that has some impact on the security architecture in this region.
Okay. Abhishek, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We also have senior fellow ORF, Sushant Sareen, also now joining us on the broadcast. Sushant, good evening. Good to have you with us here on CNN News 8. Fact that Pakistan, in fact, will be attending the SCO Summit. Top government sources now indicating to CNN News 18 that they welcome the move by Pakistan because the thinking is that the SCO aims to achieve different things. Yes, today there are strained relations between India and Pakistan, but the SCO Summit, the platform, is for other global issues and not for personal tensions.
Yeah, but look, I think it is very clear that the Pakistanis would attend it simply because, number one, this is in the virtual format. This is not happening in a physical form. So it doesn't really take much for them to attend. It also doesn't take much for us to, have them in that particular summit. Not that we had a choice. As the host, we would have to invite the Pakistanis. Frankly, I don't see anything come out of this particular SCO summit, anything at all, for a very simple reason. As we saw during the foreign ministers meeting in Goa earlier in the year, the positions between India and Pakistan are fairly clear-cut. So there's nothing happening on the India-Pakistan front. On the India-China front also, nothing is likely to happen. The India-Russia front is on a bilateral track, and whatever we can do, we will do on that, within our own limitations. So I think there is not much to look forward to as far as the SCO summit is concerned. No major breakthroughs are expected. And I just hope that we are not going to fall for this nonsense of trying to replace the dollar as the the main trading currency in the world. That would be akin to shooting ourselves in the foot and strengthening our enemy country, China. So I think India should desist from that temptation.
Yeah. So, Sushant, since you're saying this is all happening in the virtual mode, so you feel that there's not going to be a much in terms of the outcome, but just the fact that India is the chair and we're hosting the summit, talk to us about the significance of India using its position as the chair.
No, I think we will make whatever statement we want to make. It does give us a kind of a pole position to try and, direct the agenda of the SCO. But beyond that, I don't think there'll be any major breakthrough or any new ground which will be broken, either on the, as far as the SCO as a grouping is concerned, or on a bilateral track. So I don't think that's in the offing. So there's not really much to look forward to as far as the SCO summit is concerned.
Okay. So, Shant, we'll just request you to stay on with us because we're getting some other developments that we want to track at this hour as well, which is that there is some sort of a temporary relief as far as Pakistan is concerned and even the Shahbaz Sharif government, because there seems to be some relief now coming in as far as that desperate bailout that they wanted from the International Monetary Fund or the IMF as the economic crisis continues to deepen in Pakistan. Now, Shashank, help us understand. As I said, this looks like a stopgap arrangement. It looks like just a temporary relief. But how do you see this relief also coming in for Pakistan? Just yesterday, we were discussing the ultimatum that was given by the Saudi authorities that we will stop flights if the national airline doesn't pay back its due. So the timing of when this temporary relief is coming in will be huge for Pakistan.
Yeah, but like you yourself very correctly said, it's temporary. This is a standby arrangement. Now, essentially, whatever monies the Pakistanis were to get under the previous enhanced funding facility program, that program has ended. So technically, this is a new program but the amounts of money being given to Pakistan are what would have come to it had it gone through the previous program. Number one. So now the $3 billion really doesn't do too much for Pakistan's economy. It staves off the immediate threat of default. But what the Pakistanis and the IMF have done is that they've kicked this can further down the road by another few months. Pakistan has to give something like it needs something like $30 to $32 billion this particular fiscal year, which starts from tomorrow. This $2.5–3 billion is not going to do much because there is no reform taking place, no structural reform taking place in the Pakistan economy. So the IMF has, and this program, incidentally, is now the 23rd program. By the time this one ends, it is almost certain that Pakistan will go into a 24th program. And this program doesn't come cheap. Apparently, from what we are hearing, the base electricity tariffs are going to go up by something like 8 rupees a unit, which means that from around 24–25 rupees right now, a single unit will cost something like 32–33 rupees. And when you add all the other surcharges on top of it, it will be almost 50–55 rupees a unit. Number one. Number two, the fuel prices are going to go up because there's something called a petroleum levy, which is to be imposed. Which is already 50 rupees a litre, but that has to be raised to 60. In the immediate, they will raise it by 5 rupees. So it will crush the Pakistani people, but it will save the Pakistan economy from default for now. I don't think
so the question is that you're seeing this temporary relief come in, but for how long can it actually sustain the crisis that Pakistan continues to see itself in? So, Shant, unfortunately, I'll have to leave that conversation there. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Time for us to slip into another short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with lots more.
Had only escalated between the ruling government as well as the governor. So opposition parties time and again saying that the governor is forced to do so because the state government has not taken suo moto cognizance of the issue and hasn't dropped Sendil Balaji. So opposition will continue to demand the resignation of Sendil Balaji as a minister, even as the governor is still buying time to make a final decision in this regard.
Right, Purnima, one more thing. If you look at our screens right now, the viewers can also see there are a line of posters that have come in against the Tamil Nadu governor regarding this dismissal of Sendil Balaji. Could you just throw some more light on what these posters are saying? We can see it on full screen right now. What exactly is the pulse on the ground?
Well, I was just talking about this some time ago. Whenever there is an issue where the state government and the governor continue to remain at loggerheads, we've seen how war of words have escalated. Apart from that, while looking at the situation, we've also seen posters saying "Go back, Ravi" come up every time there's been an issue between the ruling government and the governor. In fact, this is yet another instance where some of the posters have been seen in the city where they've asked the governor to go back. So that is something that happens whenever the issue between the state government and the governor escalates.
There's another showdown between the Tamil Nadu governor and the government. After Governor R.N. Ravi dismissed Sendil Balaji from the state cabinet without consulting the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, top Tamil Nadu Raj Bhavan sources have informed CNN News18 that Balaji will continue in council till further orders. Now, Ravi's previous order stands suspended and he will now take opinion from Attorney General. The governor had accused him of abusing his position, influencing the probe and obstructing the course of justice. The Chief Minister had vowed legal action, calling the governor's orders illegal. Remember, Balaji is accused in a money laundering case in the multi-crore cash for job scam when he served as transport minister under the previous AIA-DMK government. Now, the breaking news that we have on this particular input that we have, and this is from the Raj Bhavan sources who have told CNN News18 that Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi has decided to take legal opinion from an Attorney General on the issue of Sendil Balaji. Now, Raj Bhavan's previous order stands suspended till the legal opinion is sought. So that is the major focus right now, as in the particular order that had come in previously, is suspended. Senthil Balaji is going to continue in council till AG opinion and further orders come in. Now, sources have also told CNN News 18 that the Tamil Nadu governor has now informed Chief Minister Stalin about the decision to keep dismissal order of Minister Balaji in abeyance. Now, remember, according to a press release from Raj Bhavan, Balaji is facing some serious criminal proceedings, as we already mentioned, and this is in a number of cases of corruption, including taking cash for jobs and money laundering. So this is the particular input that we have from the story in the South, and we have CNN News 18's Arunima joining us in the broadcast to give us more details on this. Arunima, a very good morning to you. Well, quite a lot of debate has gone around the dismissal of Senthil Balaji, and well, now legal advice is being sought. How are we looking at these developments in Tamil Nadu?
Dismissal, which was eventually withdrawn, is the status at this moment. Last night, close to midnight, central government stepped in because there was a lot of criticism whether constitutionally the governor has the power to unilaterally dismiss a minister without consulting the chief minister, without consulting the council. The governor was advised by the centre that he should seek legal opinion first. And post that, we are told, Raj Bhavan decided to send the matter to Attorney General for his legal opinion. And around midnight, a few minutes before midnight, this decision was conveyed to Chief Minister N Stalin that Governor R.N. Ravi was withdrawing his earlier order, was putting it in abeyance, and that Senthil Balaji could continue in the Council of Ministers pending the Attorney General's advice. So that's the status at this moment. There is no change as far as Senthil Balaji's position in the Tamil Nadu Council of Ministers is concerned. Attorney General's opinion is something Raj Bhavan will wait for before they decide on their next move.
Right. Another thing, like we were discussing this before and we mentioned this before coming to you, which is M.K. Stalin earlier had said that he was going to challenge the governor's decision of dismissing Senthil Balaji from the cabinet on constitutional grounds. So can you please throw some more light on that?
So that is the reason why I think the centre stepped in, because if this matter came to the Supreme Court and there was wide debate, most of the constitutional experts, lawyers pointed out that the law is very clear, the constitution is very clear. Governor acts on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister and his council. The constitution does not really empower the governor to supersede the Chief Minister and his council and take any independent decision. Given that position, when he had decided to unilaterally dismiss Senthil Balaji, and M.K. Stalin made it clear that he's going to challenge this in Supreme Court, I think the central government prevailed upon the governor that you should first take a legal opinion, because if you go to the Supreme Court, or if the Tamil Nadu government goes to the Supreme Court and there is any censure or any stricture passed against Raj Bhavan, that will be very embarrassing. I think that decision by the Tamil Nadu government to go to the Supreme Court also played its part in the governor ultimately deciding to withdraw the order till the time the Attorney General made the constitutional and legal position clear to him.
Right. Thank you, Arunima, for all those details. We also have Purnima joining us on the broadcast. Purnima, a very good morning to you. Well, we see what is happening in Tamil Nadu. There is a lot of debate. There's a lot of back and forth that is happening when it comes to Senthil Balaji's continuation in the cabinet. Well, if we are to look at the people of Tamil Nadu right now, what are they leaning towards? Are they happy with these decisions that are constantly taking place? Are they in support of Senthil Balaji staying in the cabinet, or do they also agree with the governor that yes, he should be dismissed?
Well, there are mixed reactions from Tamil Nadu as far as Senthil Balaji's continuation of the post is concerned. We've seen ever since the governor had decided to dismiss Senthil Balaji as a minister, we've seen a lot of reactions pouring in on social media. Some of them welcomed it, some of them, in fact, questioned the governor's decision. So mixed reactions here ever since Senthil Balaji was raided, and we've seen how, apart from politics, we've also seen a lot of reactions on social media. Some of them say.
Welcome back. Thanks Thanks a lot for staying with us. Some global stories that we're tracking at this hour, where France seems to be bracing for more protests. This after the police shot a teenager at a traffic stop and then seemed to have lied as far as the circumstances are concerned. Protesters continue to be protesting, asking for justice for the teenager's family. We've seen a lot of politicians and celebrities also step in this hour of grief. And as I said, protests only continue. We're getting some breaking developments also now coming in. We're now understanding, looking at these protests which have now entered day 3. The French President Emmanuel Macron also left the EU summit which was taking place in Brussels, has made his way back to France to try and understand the ground situation. As I pointed out, protests have now entered day 3 post that very unfortunate killing of a 17-year-old teenage boy by police officials during a traffic stop, and then seem to be lying as far as the circumstances are concerned. We in fact have a guest now joining us from Paris, Manu Vishal now joining us. Manu, we appreciate you taking up the time and joining us here on CNN News 18. First, could you help us understand what does the ground situation today look like? We're understanding protests have reached day 3 and we're understanding they're only going to escalate from here on.
Yes, as you told, it's the third day of protest. And the biggest problem for normal people like us is the commute. Most of the public transport is disrupted. The buses and trams have not been running. For example, yesterday we had to go somewhere, and yesterday the buses and trams were completely stopped, and there was a curfew after 9 o'clock. And on the way back, we saw a lot of cars burning, people on the street. So it was not safe for us at night.
So you're saying daily life has completely been disrupted because protests still continue. We're understanding upwards of 400 people have already been arrested by the police because they continue to protest. One bank was set on fire as well. Could you talk to us about what you're seeing around you and how are you seeing the numbers swelling in terms of protests?
Well, the place where this incident happened is quite close to our place. It's a place called Nanterre. And the most of the protest is happening in that area, while it has spread to most all over Paris and even other cities in France. But the numbers have been rising, and a lot of people have even used this opportunity to incite robberies. And we have been hearing news that at a very premium location in Paris, a Nike store has been looted, and a video has been circulating in social media about the looting. And
so
it's
really
scary.
Unfortunate that people are actually trying to take advantage of such an unfortunate situation. How are you all managing on a day-to-day basis? Because the protests are only continuing. Are you working from home? What is the kind of reassurance that you're getting from ground authorities?
Well, to be honest, in the mornings, it's quite okay. I have been going to the office. Just yesterday was the day I worked from home. And after most of the protests happen towards the evening. And if you stay at home, it's kind of okay. So we have been advised to stay home, and that's what we have been doing.
Is there some sort of advisory that is being given by authorities on the ground asking you all to stay indoors while they try and contain the situation? Because the update that's now coming in is that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, also understanding the situation is going out of control. He's left from Brussels, made his way back to France, will be holding some crucial meetings. So is there some sort of advisory that is being sent to people who are staying in and around these areas where the protests are happening?
Well, I've not received any advisory, but it's been circulating around social media to stay indoors, and most of our contacts have asked us to stay indoors. So that's pretty much the information that I have gotten personally. So it's
one of the reasons the protests are only escalating is because of not just the tragic shooting of the 17-year-old boy, but apparently the lies that we heard from the French police in terms of the circumstances in which that boy died. What are you hearing from the ground?
Well, I cannot comment much on that. I also heard stuff from the news articles and the social media But the word on the ground is basically from the video that has been captured while this shooting has taken place of where this incident happened. And well, that's pretty much I know. I cannot comment on that.
Sure. Manu, just help us understand in terms of the protests, the areas where these protests are happening and the people who've taken to the streets. Because now we're understanding it's not just regular citizens, but politicians and celebrities also who are joining these protests.
Well, I just know that a lot of people are taking to the streets and the number is increasing day by day. And also it has been spreading to different cities in France. And it's not just to the department where it happened, which is Nanterre. And there have been reports from Lille and also in different parts of Paris, even outside Paris. So I just know the numbers are increasing. About celebrities, I don't know about it.
Sure. Manu, just going back to the question that I asked you a short while ago, we're getting reports that a bank was set on fire as well. So are now common establishments also now being targeted by protesters? Do we know who was behind the fire?
We don't know. Police have arrested a lot of people. In fact, it's a mass arrest that's happening all around Paris. And we don't know who has set it on fire, and a lot of people might be taking advantage of the mob to set public properties on fire. And most of the cars which are parked on open areas are also getting targeted. So it's a sad state, actually, the destruction of public property.
Sure, Manu, I just want to ask you, as far as the area where this tragic episode happened and where the protests are happening, what are the kind of establishments that are in and around these areas, and how are those establishments being impacted because of the protests now?
Well, apart from the bank, the only other establishments that I hear about this are the shops. A lot of looting is happening now, as I mentioned earlier, and as I told, the protests are not localized in the area where this happened. It has further expanded to all of Paris and even other cities of France.
Okay, Manu, here's hoping that you can stay safe and do stay safe, follow all the advisories, and also hoping that the situation can be brought under control. So an eyewitness account there, in fact, helping us understand what really is happening in France, saying that the anger is only escalating and there is a understanding that the protests will only escalate over the next couple of days. We'll keep tracking those developments. For now, we're shifting our focus to the other big global story. After Roe versus Wade, this is now being seen as the other big verdict that is going to see possibly a change as far as the political narrative is concerned. Yesterday, you had the Supreme Court of the United States saying that now race and ethnicity cannot be factors as far as admissions for colleges are concerned. Now, we're already seeing two very extreme reactions come in. One was a reaction that we saw from Donald Trump, who's the former US president, who went on to say that this is a great decision. Compare that to the decision that we got from the current US president, who said this is extremely sad because if race and ethnicity are taken out, that you will not see a very diverse profile. I spoke to certain students, specifically students from the Harvard University who've been included in this verdict, on what they feel about the verdict, one, and more importantly, what do they feel as to how this will change the admission process going forward. Let's listen in. What do you make of the verdict that came in from the Supreme Court?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I think there's definitely a lot of mixed reactions. In terms of my personal opinion, I think that the verdict is definitely something that is a complicated thing to process, because when you call something unlawful, then it doesn't allow for you to have space for people to have different nuances. What I mean by that is, obviously, this is a case that has been ongoing for many, many years. And just like we have the quota system in, whether it's overt or not in a lot of, say, colleges in India or in a lot of workspaces, what these practices essentially allow for is equity, right? Bringing up different types of groups of people who have been discriminated against in the past or do not have the same amount of resources. So this ruling is something that is going to, I think we're not going to see the effects until at the college level, a few admission cycles down, but it's going to have effects not just for higher education, but it's also going to have effects on things like workplace dynamics and diversity in general, which I think is a huge principle that is important in the US, but also in India and in other places.
Avanti, this of course has a lot of political connotations as well, and that is why we're seeing very stark reactions coming in from the current president vis-a-vis his predecessor. But because the Supreme Court has in specific spoken about Harvard University and the University of North Carolina, the Supreme Court said that students must be treated based on their experience. Do you think that's a valid argument that has been made going forward?
I mean, I think experience for sure, but experience encompasses so many factors of life, right? And you can't look at anything in isolation. Everybody's experiences is shaped by their race, their gender, their socioeconomic background, and so many different factors. I think that, you know, I've spoken to a couple current students who are there and also been seeing what's going on online. And it's definitely a lot of mixed reactions because for something to be, you know, there are many ways something like this could be approached. Something like this could be approached with alternatives or particular recommendations. But in this case, a complete ruling down and calling something unlawful creates a lot of, it's just going to have a lot of interesting backlash, in my opinion, down the line.
Right. Avanti, we'll just request you to stay on with us because we also now have Sudhanshu Kaushik, ED of NAAIS Booth School of Business, also now joining us. Sudhanshu, always a pleasure speaking to you. I'm guessing you also must have spoken to a lot of students ever since this verdict came in. What is the general consensus?
Yeah, so we actually, thanks for having me, first of all, Rithima. We heard about it early this morning. We put out some feelers, surveys, and asked people how they feel. And I think it's pretty divided. When it comes to at least the international student demographic, there's a lot of uncertainty. International students are unaware if this does impact them or it will. There's a lot of debate going back and forth if it directly will or not. When it comes to Indian Americans, what we realized is unfortunately, it's very evenly divided along political lines. I think that there are a lot of people who feel that Indian Americans have unfairly had a very competitive disadvantage when it comes to a lot of them performing really well, but not yet getting these offers from, you know, these very top tier institutions. At the same time, a lot of Indian Americans, Rithima, in the United States are liberal, progressive values. And I think a lot of them are understanding that regardless of how it impacts them as Indian Americans, there are more societal values that are at risk with this judgment. And I think that's what they're trying to kind of project and say, let's not just think about us. Let's think about the people who will be severely more disadvantaged. Because at the end of the day, Rithima, Indian Americans are the top most earning minority group in the United States. People say that we'll be fine. But this access, this opportunity for people who have been systemically disadvantaged against for centuries,